I will learn to fight, I will learn to fly. I will learn to kill, I don't learn to die. Taking back the walls, taking back our life. Strike on every tank until they out of sight.
All right, Mr. John.
Yo.
We're back at it.
Right,
everyone. I didn't know if we were going to do like a meme intro or not, but welcome to Reconnected, the brand new spin-off podcast that's going to come at you monthly. Last Thursday, so it's not have a fixed date, but it does have a fixed release time. Last Thursday of every month. Yeah. We're going to recap everything. So basic synopsis for those of you who are like, well, why the fuck should I listen to these fuckwits? One, if you did miss this dynamic, it's back. This is a thing now. This is an official new series. We had to talk it out to make sure it could be a thing, which is why we didn't launch it last month. But it's a thing. So we're back together. If you did enjoy that, that's one reason. Second of all, we will recap everything. And since I am notorious for better or worse for all my hot takes, it'll give me a chance to kind of put my foot in my mouth or reiterate that I still feel away and kind of summarize. Whereas for John, a lot of time it's going to be his first time hearing a lot of this stuff since he doesn't bog himself down. It is kind of the reason he left to begin with. But he could kind of take it in doses, and this is a way where, like, it's his daily shot, or monthly shot, rather. So he can take all the nonsense in one sitting instead of having to hear about it every week. So we'll see if it's more digestible for him.
It's my skooma fix.
So he basically will, you'll get to hear John's takes for those of you who want to hear that. Once a month, so you gotta just like, oh yeah, I gotta like, what did John think about all the things? But we're not gonna do it in a way where I'm like, so here's what Mallory, Josh, and I thought. Shiro. No, it doesn't matter. We're very loose with that. Yeah. It's just kind of whatever. They have stage names and I don't, so it's just one of those weird things. But and so with me and John, we're gonna kind of just go through the topics themselves. We're not gonna do a compare and contrast because that's not what I'm here to do. It's just, again, a stage for me to catch up with John and let him know what's been going on, see what he thinks about it, as well with that different perspective, as well as getting my chance to redact without having to make a apology video or reiteration video every month if I do make a mistake or if I change my mind about something or whatever. So
we're podcast guys.
Exactly. So let's get right into it. Not back into it yet. No, until next month. But yeah, so that's good. The whole synopsis. If that doesn't sound appealing, bye. But if it does, thank you for sticking around. Again, we do appreciate all the support. The podcast has grown exponentially. I was going to say exponentially since John left, which is truly a thing, but not because John left. It's just what happened.
Came back to Titanic, this shit.
Right? So there's that. So, previous months, Mr. John, what has been going on in the last month for you?
Well, I left my old shitty job that I hated for a new business in the gaming area, which I don't want to be specific on.
A new bright endeavor.
Yeah, being a little more private on that.
There you go.
That's it, man.
But it's been going well with you. I meant to ask.
Yes.
Did the EP ever drop, or is that still work in progress?
I mean, technically it's done. I'm just kind of at a nice, I guess, ambivalence where I'm like, yeah, I can put it out. I can go in, put the effort of marketing it, and really, really put in the legwork. But do I want to? Do I want to go that route? I'm at a nice transition point in life where I'm not too sure where I want to devote the majority of my energy.
Kind of taking it easy.
Yeah. Just putting a lot of effort into other things.
There you go. Well, that's good. Gaming-wise, what have you been got going on? Obviously, I do have to preface this with the fact that we premeditatedly planned to talk about Vampire, but anything else that's coming up, the rest of this is up to John. But what have you been up to?
Vampire. It's right there on my dashboard. Played more of my big sister. Was almost late today because of Outer Worlds, which just
dropped the time of recording. Obviously, it'll be over a week old when you guys hear this, but at the time of recording, it just dropped. So spoiler, that spoils basically when we're talking about this. Yeah. But it's not the first time we've done that, breaking the fourth wall. Nah. But but Outer Worlds pretty good. It's pretty good. I haven't really spent much time on it because it's not on Switch yet, but it should be. There should be a Switch port of it. Which I'll talk about a game that pretty much gives no excuse to any game now why it shouldn't come out on Switch. But anyways, back to Mr. John. Outer Worlds though, how do you liking it so far?
Ooh, I just got a cramp. Fantastic. So I launched in, and I like the premise. I like that it's the original guys who did Fallout New Vegas, right?
Okay, so
What's the deal with that?
I was gonna say your exposure to Obsidian really isn't great, right? You really didn't play New Vegas,
No,
and you didn't play Pillars of Eternity.
never heard of it.
So this is your first. So, Obsidian Entertainment is essentially like when BioWare was good in terms of they're known for their great storytelling and character development. So I'm very excited for your first foray into one of their titles because that is where they make good games overall in terms of like mechanically and everything. So it should be competent. But where they excel at the most is their storytelling and character, their narration and character development. So I really hope to hear next month, because you got a whole month to get into it, your thoughts now, and then we're going to compare and contrast it in a month from now, what's going on with that.
I'm interested too, because are we just jumping into Outer Worlds right
now?
now?
For it, yeah, go for it. Did you notice it right away that they kind of are going to be good at that?
Yeah, no, I can see the seeds of something that will definitely blossom further on the way. Very choice driven. I already appreciate that. It's got my vote for Game of the Year right now.
Oh wow!
But
that's a heavy endorsement because a lot of cool shit came out this year.
There's something like that's the surface, but beneath that, something inside, like my gut's telling me I'm gonna hate this game, and I don't know why. Like I don't know what's triggering that pang. But, yeah, interesting. Right?
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. In a month.
And to be clear, because I know there's that one guy. I know that guy. I'm just gonna address him real quick. You're going to think that we're doing this to bait you into the next episode, but that is just a genuine thought. We don't know, because neither of us are that far into the game. I'm not even going to do a review on it yet, because I think I need to get a lot further into it to give a fair review of the game.
What are you playing it on?
PS4.
Okay, I got to do the Game Pass.
Well, I have a review copy, so I
Nice.
didn't buy it. So, full disclaimer, I'm doing this entire. I've been trying to do it off review copies more to be really biased to not have to justify $60. Mm-hmm. Although I will spend it on it if I really end up liking it a lot. Which again, I'm liking it so far.
That's
but
how I feel I'm going to be.
You're playing it on Game Pass because you didn't have to technically pay for it per se.
Per se.
Which is why I think the Game Pass is so brilliant. Real quick segue.
This is a bump for Game Pass.
Yeah, and it will be just because I gotta say, what a brilliant idea.
Yeah, man. Like I was totally. Not against it, but I thought it was silly.
Fix my screen. Go on.
I thought it was silly in the beginning. I'm like, oh, PSN's so much better. Free games. I don't have to pay anyway. And then I tried it out because I got 3 months for $1, and I was like, holy shit, that's a deal. Why not?
Yeah.
What is it? I played through the first Tomb Raider. Fantastic. I have Vampire right now. Dishonored 2. Playing Outer Worlds. Game Pass it fucking rocks.
Yeah, it really does. How much is it a month?
Oh god, 15 is it?
Something like that.
Something
15
like
or
that.
20, but I feel like regardless of what it is, I know we could just Google it, but fuck it.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
I want to say for 3 I paid.
Doing it live.
I want to say for 3 I paid 30, so that means like $10 a month.
Moving? Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, but either way, it's definitely worth the investment, worth the time playing.
Well, there's a lot of good shit on there. You could also play Outer Wilds that way, which is another really good game that is on Pass.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was here like, why the fuck is Patrick all the way across the room talking to John like a dickhead instead of being there? Anyways, but
anyway,
yeah, so
I think it's
plug aside for Xbox Game Pass, which is worth it.
Yeah.
First impressions of Outer. How many hours, first of all, to let everyone know how educated this first impression is, just in case it's like you haven't spent that much time. Just to let everyone be clear, just in case people are going to be like, "What? You didn't even talk about the."
2 hours, but I kind of Skyrim'd it, so it's like...
She's just been kind of wandering.
Well, because, what is it? You're in, what's the name? Cannery?
Yeah.
Edgewater, that's where you're at. Edgewater.
Edging.
I was going to say edging.
Edging water.
So, you're supposed to go to meet the boss or whatever, and I got this bounty from this guy, because I didn't kill him. I died a couple times, and I killed myself because I killed the Marauders, and then I killed the 2 Space Police people, and I was like, oh, I guess I shouldn't have done that because my rep dropped, and I was like, I'm trying to be decent, but I just went around, and I'm just going and like raiding settlements and grinding a little bit. I'm already at level 5, so when I left, I was at the main quest objective.
Yeah.
But about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours total playtime. I like that you have that open world exploration ability, and I like the weapons that you can use. The shotgun was kind of shitty. I don't know if I can upgrade that to be better. I already upgraded a few weapons, but the shotgun
for
was
me,
just not,
I've said this before in some game stuff. I don't know if I've ever did it like on the record, but it's an opinion I've expressed several times, is that I gauge a lot of games that have guns, if not all of them, based on the quality of the shotgun. If the shotgun doesn't feel, look, or function good, at least 2 of those 3, I can't.
See,
I already
started
started talking.
Yeah, maybe that's where that...
Maybe where you're getting the whole... It might have a quick launch, but might not stay in orbit too long.
Kinda,
in terms of your hype.
Because I have a mini gun basically. That was like the first real gun I found after the pistol.
Right.
So I started using that, and that was great.
Yeah.
I got my assault rifle.
Good.
Those are fine, but the shotgun, I'm just like, I don't know. Like even the Gnasher and Gears, it's fine. I don't use it, but it's fine. It's a great gun. You know?
Yeah.
I just like to have the ability to use it. And that kind of was my first real, like,
Yeah, it kind of makes you think, right?
The time pause ability's cool, though.
That's pretty badass.
I love that you can just, like, whack the shit out of people with the saber, and I have this weird, like, scimitar, and I just found a shovel that I've been hitting people with for fun. And, I mean, it's a great game so far. It's just, we'll see what the month brings.
I think, if anything... I hesitate to use the phrase "we'll save it" because there's not really anything that needs to save because it is a solid game.
Yeah.
But I think there's no other way to phrase it but to say it this way, which is, if anything, we'll save it if it does dip in quality, it'll be Obsidian's writing. Where, in the end, even if you're a little disappointed with the weapons, you'll be like, oh, but man, that story and the characters will still, you know.
What were you saying last time? Like, oh no, we were messaging. Like if Last of Us had...
Oh right, yeah, I was talking about Last of Us.
Yeah, what was it if it had a shitty story? Mm-hmm. That's what we were talking about. Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Oh yeah,
where the gameplay is just and I'm like, yeah, because I'm loving the series, but I don't know if I want to play the
gameplay is just more of the same. I didn't like the story in Shadows, which shits itself, because Laura just any development that was done in the first couple of games is just thrown out the window, and she's just written really poorly, and it's just executed badly.
That's why I said if it had shoddy gameplay but a decent story, that's fine. And you brought up the point of Last of Us. Last of Us had shitty gameplay, but it still had that story. Would it still be?
Yeah, exactly. Last of Us mechanically was like decent, but there was nothing in it. If it had a bad or mediocre story, there's nothing that the gameplay would have saved. Yeah. You know, it's not like playing a thing with good gameplay, but there's like, you know, the story was like, but then the gameplay is like, oh my god. Which, like, I hesitate to say this, them being like my favorite developer of all time, obviously, but I would put it in this way. Platinum, for example. Yeah. Platinum stories are usually like pretty nonsense, and I enjoy them because of that. But they're objectively not good stories. They're nonsensical, or they just have a lot of plot holes or what have you, depending on the game. But
man, beautiful jokes.
But exactly. Yeah. But the gameplay is so much fun that it not saves, but it makes it where it's just like, of course it's gonna have a stupid story because you're having so much fun playing the game that you're not really trying to it doesn't want to detract you from the thing to like give you a like hour-long cutscene. Yeah. But anyways, before this becomes Outer Wilds cast, Outer Worlds cast. It's weird that they were announced around the same time.
Okay, so there is an Outer Wilds, right?
Yeah,
because that's what I've been fucking calling this thing all day. Oh, God. But it's Outer Worlds.
Telling everyone you've been playing the wrong game.
I know.
Which are both on Game Pass, and were both announced within a month of each other, pretty much. They're both very different games, and they're both really good, though. But anyways, to wrap up, what you got? Anything else about Outer Worlds you wanted to say?
If we're giving like a score, just
no, we're not. Up. Too early.
Too early. Okay.
So too early. But so far, things I.
Like I said, man, like my gut also says this is my Game of the Year vote.
Okay. Cool.
Weird dichotomy.
Real quick, a Vampire, just because I was very interested in Vampire for 2 reasons. Mm-hmm. Don't Nod, which is insane, because Don't Nod for me had a interesting dichotomy in their games.
Weird
because Remember Me sucks. Yeah. Okay. Look.
Oh my god! Don't fucking get me started.
Person I know that's gonna tell me that it's a decent game when they try to fight me with that. It's a shit game.
Is it on Med?
No, Ahmed actually has good taste.
I saw him today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, weirdly.
Oh, what the fuck? That's awesome.
Small world.
He actually potentially will be joining the cast, but that's a whole nother story.
He's
but
back from Jersey.
Yeah, he is. But anyways,
he didn't know who I am. I just that I
you
him.
knew him.
Yeah, I know who. Yeah.
But yeah, so with that being the thing,
I didn't
with
know
like
that was
so,
Jesus.
and then they did Life is Strange,
Which is great.
Where does Vampire stack now? Because you have extremely shitty and then pretty damn good.
I was highly disappointed by Remember Me because I was so
I thought you
excited
were
for
gonna say
that
Vampire.
fucking game. No, Vampire. I honestly haven't put in enough. I don't think I've put in at least maybe an hour, an hour or more.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really give a solid critique. Like I said, my main gripe is that I can't skip the dialogue, which Outer Worlds is doing to backtrack, which I love.
Okay, cool.
And the dialogue, the narrative flows pretty well through the dialogue. It's just a lot of choices become a little repetitive. It gave me reminiscent gameplay of Call of Cthulhu. But of course you have powers, which are cool. The powers are cool. It's nothing special. Like I don't want to. I hesitate to call it middle of the road because I haven't played enough. But upon a first impression, if we're going by the 3 Don't Nod titles we've listed, where Remember Me is like a solid -4, and Life is Strange is an 8, I'll put Vampire at about a 6.
So it's almost an appropriate middle ground between
Yeah.
They did really bad and they did really good. Now it's time to do mediocre. Like, okay.
I don't.
I know. I hesitate to say
but,
too because I haven't even played it, so
Yeah.
I hate to even say that at all.
But like, if someone just asked me and I was like, "Oh, it's okay."
Yeah.
But again,
Now let's not Remember Me because fuck that game.
Man, okay, don't get me. I haven't thought about that game in so long. Ha, funny laugh.
And you didn't even know it was about
I was
this.
so
You didn't even know it was by Don't Nod.
Hyped. I did not.
Oh, were you?
Yes, I was excited. I pre-ordered it. I got the fucking special controller.
God.
I know. Like I went all in for
All
that
right,
game.
so here's my thing as to why I don't remember me fucking shit. I really don't want to.
Don't remember because you only get to use the cool fucking mechanic 4 damn times in the game.
So my thing with this, here are my problems with it. Bad narrative.
Yeah.
Bad feeling gameplay.
Yeah.
Bad world. Bad character progression. Bad game. No, but anyways, but all those critiques, minus the last one where I just fucking hammed it up and just wanted to say that. But realistically, I really do feel it. It feels stiff and bad.
Yep.
It feels, and here's the thing, my benchmark is usually Clover/Platinum stuff. So anytime you try to use character action, you try to have this cool like character action combat, and it feels stiff, it's bad. The narrative sucks. The protagonist is awful. The narrative makes no goddamn sense.
Yeah.
And the time effect, time travel stuff should be really cool, but it wasn't in this game.
Quantum Break did it right.
Quantum Break was awesome.
Yeah.
That was one of the few Microsoft titles that everyone gives Xbox for having at least one good exclusive.
For fucking Iceman being the front, but still, it's a good game.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And then I feel like Control and like Quantum Break are doing what Remember Me should have done.
Yeah, Control was actually pretty damn good too. It has the problems that most Remedy games have, but it was still, I thought the nods to Alan Wake were cool. I mean, it's not even a nod, it's technically a spin-off because they're canonically in the same world.
Nice. Let's get a Wake
and
verse
then
going.
Quantum Break is cool.
Yeah.
So,
but Remember Me shit.
Acting, graphics, and all that stuff was really
Don't
awesome.
Nod makes good games.
They do.
Sometimes they make
I like
great
Life
games.
is Strange.
Is part 2, is that theirs as well? And Captain whatever, super awesome.
Yeah, even though season 2, from what I've seen, I'm gonna do the whole game playthrough once it wraps up in December.
Same.
But it doesn't look as interesting as Life is Strange 1 and Before the Storm. But we'll see.
Before the Storm was great. I just got that.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I like Chloe and Max's whole thing, and like the little kid's cool. Yeah, he's got a deadbeat drunk dad. I feel bad for him, but
Yeah. Anything else in your monthly wrap up?
no, that's it.
All right. Me real quick. So I am the master of two things.
Puppets.
I like obscure games, which I talked about with Mallory and Josh last time, being a big issue because I have no one to talk to them to. And I don't do it in a hipster sense where like I only play games no one's ever heard of, because everyone's heard of these games I play. It's just not people I know, and it's just not the mainstream. And then the biggest issue with that is I have no one to talk to. It sucks. Like, all these are like, you look at the Metacritic of most of the games I like and play, most of them are pretty decent. Minus the examples I'm going to give, of course, to contradict my point.
Real
But
quick, side note, kind of spin off. Have you heard of Yakuza Mikami, something like that? It was a weird game I saw the other day.
Which one?
Yakuza started with an M. Mikami.
Was it the one that starts with a K? Kiwami?
Maybe.
Those are the remakes of the first couple.
Oh, okay. Because I saw a steelbook version of it when I was passing through the other day, and I was like, "Oh, Patrick might like this."
Yeah,
I don't want to confirm if you.
I would actually, because that one's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, no. But anyways.
Side note.
But no, for sure.
Cut that out.
Well, no, but that's the thing, though, is games like Yakuza and stuff like that are very highly rated,
Metacritic?
But the problem is no one I can really talk to about it. It sucks. What was I going to say? The only other thing is that they also are really long, the games I play. And I run into this issue where, like, so the average person I know when they play a regular game, like the average game they'll play is about like 8 hours or so, I would say. Which is standard issue for, again, what most people will play. And I know I'm stumbling, and I'm a lost words because it's hard to describe it, but the easiest way to put it is like, here's the games I played this month. I started one right now, and then I beat 2 in this month, which is saying a lot because it doesn't sound like much. But one was Deadly Premonition, 30 hours.
Yo, tight.
Again, that's my 4th playthrough. But so Deadly Premonition, 30 hours. Then I beat Sinking City, 30 hours.
Oh, nice. How'd you like it?
It was good. It's not a game I can ever recommend because it's got a lot of flaws that I think might bother people a lot. It's a really weird one. It's one of the games I've loved in a long time that I would never recommend to anyone.
Did you play Man of Medan?
I haven't yet, actually. I really do want to play that. But Deadly Premonition, 30 hours. Sinking City, 30 hours. And I'm playing The Witcher, which is 130 hours. So
for just the base game.
And that's the problem I run into. It's not just that these games take me forever to play. Not that I play them for anyone. I play them for me. But unless it's for Let's Play, obviously. But the problem with that is, so I go through 30 to 100 hours worth of game, and then I have no one to talk to.
Yeah.
Astral Chain is another game I was playing. That's another 80 hours.
Tight.
So just really long games, and then games I can't talk to about with anyone. So that's the curse. But that's a self-imposed curse, and I don't regret it. But it does get lonely every once in a while not being able to talk about games with anybody because nobody else I know has played them. And it also sucks because I really want to recommend them, but they have no real like ground to like. It's hard to convince people. Judgment was one of the ones I was successfully able to convert a couple of people, only because I was able to tell them you don't need to play any of the other Yakuza games. So there's that. So getting back into the actual point of this cast, I don't know how much of this is actually going to make it in the episode because that was a lot of shit
filler
that will probably get cut out. It might just go directly into this, but let's get into the meat and potatoes after we talk about our plugs. So you got anything to plug, John? Are you even social media? Do you even have any presence right now? Okay, so you got nothing.
I have nothing to plug.
You can find my shit on slimasianentertainment.com, and you can find all the episodes, this and the main cast, at disconnectedcast.com. Getting right into it. First thing I want to address, elephant in the room, Borderlands 3. So, politics aside, I got mixed reception on the ratings I gave it. I have people that were very supportive and were just like, yo, 6 out of 10, makes sense with the points you made. Other people were like, didn't watch your video, fuck you, give it a 6 out of 10. To that I say that with the Steam aside now and politics aside, I probably shouldn't have given it a 7 out of 10, and here's why. The game wasn't any better. I don't redact any points I made in my review, but there are 2 things I didn't emphasize that thinking about it in hindsight, I would have given it an extra point for the following. 1, no real microtransactions. There are them, but they aren't as malicious as they could have been. So even though Randy Pitchford lied about there being none, at least the ones that are in there aren't bad because they aren't game breaking. They aren't pay to win stuff. So whatever. Although I'm still not on the board of just cosmetic being a justification for them, fine, lesser of two evils type thing.
Yeah.
So at least they're not game-breaking microtransactions. The second thing, they're not really... There's a full game there. Borderlands 3 is a full game, and I'll give it that. There probably will be DLC for it like the other ones.
Of course.
But there already were, and that's fine. It's kind of become industry standard, even in good games. So, good on them. They gave you a full game. Those two alone is why I knock it up a whole point. There's that. It's sad that those are things that can knock it up a whole point, because that just shows you where the state of gaming is right now, because those should just be given. But I still will say that the reason I would never exceed 7 out of 10 is, one, all the points I made in the video, and re-emphasizing the fact that it wasn't worth the abuse that went on in the company to make the game.
Yeah.
And in relation to the company that made the game. So, there you go. Revised score, 7 out of 10. For Borderlands 3. You never really played it, right? So
I probably
really
won't, to be honest.
And I have no desire to beyond that, because again, the aged poor story. The way I described it to somebody who was asking me why the game was not that good, in my opinion, was I mentioned the lack of necessity for it. There was a demand for people like Borderlands, but I don't feel like anyone would have lost sleep over it if it just never happened. There was no real campaign for bring back Borderlands. They were just like riding off the hype of when they announced it, and we're like, Borderlands is coming back. And the other thing is the humor just didn't hit like it did in 2. Maybe it's because I'm 12 years older since the last one, or it's just the fact that it was just badly written. But the way I described it to the guy who was asking for my opinion on it was like a 50-year-old wrote a children's hip, trendy cartoon.
Hello, fellow children.
It really did have that. And a lot of people made that distinction and joke, but it stands. There's a reason a lot of people did, because it's true.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, revised score, 7 out of 10. John, no score, because fuck it. He had no desire to play it, nor does he. I didn't. I was just doing my job.
Yeah, I was talking about it the other day, and I compared it to Zombieland 2. It's like, nobody
that's a really good parallel.
Yeah, like nobody asked for
this. Who asked for this?
But I mean, no one's complaining.
And way too late.
Yeah, exactly. But like 10 years ago, I would have been super hyped for this. Now I'm just
exactly.
Like,
if Borderlands 3 had come out even as bad as it was, I still think, and that's another thing I think I made in the point in the video, and if I didn't, I'm going to make the point now, which is, even if it came out 2 years or an appropriate amount of time after for there to still be a sequel, I still think it would be the worst of the 3. Better than 1 probably, because 1's really didn't age well, but still much worse than 2.
So hard to play.
Yeah.
2's definitely the standard.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so getting into the story recap, what are we going to be readdressing? So Focus Home Entertainment, I talked about Sinking City, the publisher behind Sinking City, the Sherlock Holmes mystery games, and a few other ones. Focus Home Interactive, known for a lot of stuff. Blood Bowl,
nice.
Stuff like that. They're always been a weird studio, because they've been like that middle tier hero of, they're not AAA developers, but they're much bigger than an indie studio, indie publisher. They ran into a bit of problem lately with one of my favorite studios under them, at least the ones that did Sinking City and the Sherlock games, Frogwares, where they ran into a weird thing where Focus is going to start. So basically, their license agreement ran out, and what Frogware wanted is, once that agreement ran out, they wanted to go ahead and get full autonomy of the game and be like, now it's our IP, is how they kind of understood that was going to go down in the TLDR format, essentially, is what happened. Mm-hmm. But Focus is basically like, well, as per our new policy, although that technically started after we already made our contract back then, but could somehow negate it because of we're the publisher kind of thing. They were basically like, yeah, no, we don't want to do that. And now that you guys fought back, essentially, we are going to stop selling your games. So now their games are, this is the problem with, we're not even going to get into it too hard, but this is the problem with, again, going all digital, this all digital future we're moving towards, is this can just be a thing now. Now if you don't own a physical disc, there are certain games that are not going to be available that Frogwares made that, now that means no more bank off of it, so on and so forth. It's a bit of a shame because, again, I see Focus Home Interactive as that savior to the AAA industry, giving you these kind of like almost charmingly jank games, like, because a lot of Focus's stuff is not really the most published things, because they employ these kind of middle of the road studios who have the right ideas and stuff, like Sinking City, but they kind of come in a bit of a, assemble it yourself type of, you may or may not like it because of, it depends on how much you can tolerate lack of polish, you know what I mean?
They're like Blumhouse, kind of.
Right. Do you have much with Focus published titles?
I mean, if you, I don't know any off the top of my head, but if you name some, I might know them. Like Blood Bowl, I know.
Yeah, you do know Blood Bowl. Let me pull up a quick list to kind of give you an idea of what they are known for. Blood Bowl, of course, being a very unique game, taking the Warhammer characters and putting them into this interesting light. Oh, Vampire was one of them, and that definitely had some jank. The self-titled Call of Cthulhu game, as well as Plague Tale.
Oh, Plague Tale.
Surge 2, Surge 1, so stuff like that. So you've at least heard of them.
I mean, the first two I'm playing right now, so.
Yeah, so there's that. It's a bit of a shame when a publisher, especially one that I was like kind of admiring for a while, pulls a move like this. I'm sure it's one of those things where I would have to see it from Focus's perspective, maybe, or they could just be kind of pulling a trash move on Frogwares. But it's a shame when it comes to this thing where you kind of hear about the somewhat bad thing that your hero did. I mean, it's a bit exaggerative to call them a hero, but you know what I mean. Yeah. Someone I was just like, man, you're pretty admirable. You're pretty cool. You said that thing that was a little not great.
James Gunn?
No, that's different.
I know.
That's not just taking something out of context from like ages ago.
No, but they actually pulled a dick move. Might be illegal. I mean,
yeah, it's gonna see where if Frogwares does take them to court to try to win their IPs back, it could be illegal. We'll see from there. It really hasn't divulged much public detail, so maybe that was a bad topic for me to bring up again. But I just wanted to bring it to John's attention of what happened with that, and it's a bit of a shame.
Maybe they'll keep it hush-hush now that there's not a lot of deets out in the limelight.
Yeah, pretty much. Possible.
But I mean, how do timestamps work in law?
Right, it's weird. Especially with something as unprecedented as gaming.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Jesus.
We have the truth that was eventually revealed behind Troy Baker versus Gearbox. So we originally covered this story, obviously, when it originally happened. So the details actually came out. Now,
is this a truth or a truth?
No, it's actually the truth. No, it's the real truth. And it kind of does put in a weird thing where Baker probably could have addressed this better, but it could have also been due to legalities that he did it. Now, when we saw that clip where Baker talks about it, where he's like, no, I totally wanted to come back, kind of, if I remember correctly, I could be remembering it wrong, implied that he was never asked. Remember? I think that's how the clip
the
implied.
General consensus that we got, that they just kind of brushed past him.
Turns out he was approached, but he turned it down, and the reason he turned it down was they didn't want to accept his union contract.
Ooh,
they were basically like, this was going to be a non-union gig if you pair with us, and he was basically like, no, bro.
That's even more interesting.
And then he also pushed that everyone that was, especially the VA stuff, due to what happened with David Eddings. I don't know if this is why, but it's because of stuff like what happened with David Eddings, aka Claptrap, and Baker with Reese. Why he was basically like, this is why you need to unionize. And Gearbox basically told him, if not, no deal. And he was like, the no deal.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know if it's something where he couldn't talk about it, but he also didn't really make it that clear when he was interviewed about it at that one con.
So no, not at all.
Maybe he did make it kind of sound like he was just brushed past.
Maybe it was like a delayed platform he was using. Like the news would come out that it was, it's because Gearbox doesn't want to work with the gamers unions or what have you.
Right, but now that actually came out of his words as to why. So,
he
I don't fault him. I just question now that he wasn't more upfront about it in the beginning. But there may have been, again, legal reasons why.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say he lied, but...
Yeah, I hesitate to say that, too.
He obfuscated heavily.
I was saying. But I think that this is exactly why unionization needs to be a thing. And it's amazing. A lot of countries, don't understand why there aren't more unionized stuff here in the States. The States obviously hates that with big corporations.
Oh, yeah. Capitalism
for obvious reasons.
Don't mix, man.
Yeah, but...
you want rights. I'm sorry.
But you know what? Regardless of the obfuscation or not, I don't think either of us would blame Baker for turning down the role.
I think
because
the
Reese is
viewers,
not his most legendary role. He can live without Reese.
I think the viewers understand how we feel about Gearbox, and
and sending hoodlums to your house and enforcing you to delete your YouTube channel,
and like torpedoing your livelihood. Like, but
Classic.
hey, just as you know, as a rule of thumb, don't leave your flash drives in public spaces.
Yeah, Randy. It's amazing how much damage they continued to do even after Randy literally disappeared off the face of the earth. After Eddings was like, I was assaulted by Pitchford, and Pitchford just poofed like the magician that he is,
like the shit wizard he is.
Yeah,
fucking. Oh man.
Yeah, not great. But yeah, I would say, again, especially to avoid any type of legal battle, his quote-unquote lying about it was totally justified. Mm-hmm. I just found it interesting how he wasn't able to at the beginning, but it kind of makes sense the more and more we talk about it. So.
Yeah, exactly. If his hands were tied, and if he signed like an NDA or something, or they made him, or Pitchford sent his goons to go make him sign one.
Exactly. All right, John, you ready for this? We're going to be
so
talking
ready.
about Activision Blizzard for a while. So... First thing's more of a minor story before we get into
I'm such a traitor.
What you're doing. Yeah, no, actually, I do have a question about that. But before we do, let's talk about the first addressing of stuff, which is the more minor stuff. The stuff actually related to their games more so than the fact that they hate America. So first we want to talk about the fact that they kind of foreshadowed the fact that they were going to be big liar people. It was weird how they did it. So, what we all want from Overwatch, when I used to play that game, was just our costumes to carry over. We understand why rankings can't. We understand why there can't even be crossplay.
Yeah.
Because the Switch running it at 30 or less, we're going to talk about how bad the Switch port is in a second, but with the Switch running it at 30, then the PS4 and Xbox running it at an actual 30, and then PC running at 60 plus, there was a reason that we know there can't be crossplay for obvious disadvantage reasons between the platforms.
Yeah.
The PlayStation and Xbox players would kill the Switch players, and then the PC players would destroy the rest of them.
Dominate everyone. Yeah.
We got that. None of us wanted that. We don't care about merged leaderboards. We don't care about the crossplay. We just wanted our goddamn costumes and that kind of loot box progress to carry over.
Yeah, I don't want to fucking grind again.
And that was most people's gripes, especially from what I saw online. What did they end up saying instead?
Well,
they went, all right, guys, look. We hear you guys. Crossplay, guys, it's just not doable. Crossplay, not a thing. It can't be, guys. We just can't. And just totally, that's all they addressed. The crossplay thing that no one asked for.
Yeah.
I mean, yes. I know, Guy, that's like shaking his fist at the...
Hey, wait, actually.
But a lot of people actually did ask for it.
Great, yeah.
But the whole point is, all of us with brains knew that it wasn't possible. So a lot of us were just like, look, we just forget about that. Just have our skins cross whatever. Reimburse those maybe who bought extra loot boxes. Or don't. It's kind of understandable that this wasn't a thing at first. It would have been a gift to be like, look, we understand that now you kind of double dipped on stuff, but that was your call. We can even understand that for the most part.
Yeah, that's fine. Man.
But the fact that they just sidestepped that entirely and just goes, yeah, no, guys, come on. You guys should know crossplay. It's like, we know!
It's funny that this is the light, but this is still fairly egregious to the player base. Like, this is the light topic. I mean, I'm not surprised by this.
We're not.
From what,
but it's
from
dumb, though.
Yeah, it's. But you're right. That's why this is at the bottom. This is at the very bottom of the pile of shit that Blizzard's been putting out.
Exactly. Next is what was obscured by the main topic. Not main. One of the main topics we're going to talk about in a little bit. The big chunk of it all is the fact that everyone overlooked how bad the Overwatch Switch port was. So. When Overwatch was first announced on the Switch, I was hopeful.
Yes.
Because it would be a cool game to be able to just jump in for a couple of rounds and anywhere you got decent Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
It looked decent prior to launch. I mean, obvious graphical downgrades, you know. I still keep getting it from people that are just like, Witcher 3 looks worse on Switch. Yeah, really?
Does it?
Whoa! But the fact that they even fit it... Oh, that's the thing I didn't even make my point earlier. I'm going to make it now real quick. No excuses, everybody. The fact that Switcher
exists. Yeah.
is amazing.
Oh, I know. Like, kudos to fucking Nintendo. Good job, everyone.
Yeah, CD Projekt busted ass. They made the right sacrifices, and Nintendo, with their support and right gamble, what a port. What a port. Despite the graphical downgrades, which honestly don't even bother me that much on the portable screen, or even when you play it docked, it's like running it on like low on PC essentially, maybe a little bit worse, but not bad at all. It looks fine, first of all. The entire game is there, uncompromised otherwise, gameplay-wise, maps, content, all the expansions, all on there. They gave you the same packaging that they did for the PS4 and Xbox people, which is with the stickers and the thank you note and all that stuff, and the Switch stuff, which is what's the only one I bought physically so far, the only Switch game I've ever bought physically. And then on top of all that, the weather elements, the wind, the rain is all still there. They were almost able to retain it fairly faithfully. Now, I agree with what Jim said. If you played it somewhere before, or you're really that hung up on graphics and like you're more interested in what is the best overall experience including graphics, sure, maybe pass this one. But if you want to be able to play it, especially when you're like going to all these different places like I am, whether I'm spending time with my folks or out and about doing something for the cast or at work, which the Switch has just reignited my love for games. So I'm not going to get on that tangent again. I talk about that for hours. But The Witcher's another great addition to the library of a great port, you know, because of that stuff. Overwatch, not so much. So the Overwatch should have been great and deliver that same thing I got from Witcher, where I was just like, whoa. No. And I even defended it. I even fought a few people who were just like, yay, time to play a shitty version of Overwatch with a bad frame rate. And I was like, no, fuck you. Don't do it. Boy, was I mistaken this time. This is one of those things where, boy, was I wrong. It's bad all around. You're sub 30 like almost all the time, especially when shit gets busy. Which, when you can maintain a constant 30, that will always justify graphical downgrade, because you give and you take.
Yeah.
You take a better frame rate for giving up some graphics. It looks bad and now runs bad, which is just awful. The online matches run bad. I don't know if that's just the net coding or if that's just Overwatch running poorly, but everything about it, it looks bad and runs bad. If it at least looked bad and ran good, depending on how bad we're talking about looks-wise, like Witcher, for example, where it's acceptably, quote-unquote, bad looking.
Yeah.
Totally acceptable. In this case, no. The fact that they still could not even do a lock 30, and a competitive game, a shooter of all things, usually needs to be at 60, and the fact that they couldn't even do maintain a lock 30, no bueno. Bad port. Do not pick it up. All of that hidden behind the shitstorm, which is Activision Blizzard versus Hong Kong. Now, before we get started on the actual main story, what I was going to say is, has the political climate changed you playing any Activision Blizzard games in terms of Overwatch, Diablo, Call of Duty, not Destiny anymore, but any Activision Blizzard title? Has this affected that, or are you kind of just going business as usual?
It's funny, I uninstalled Diablo the other day, but it had no impetus. It was just like, I don't play this anymore. No, I don't care.
That was more for a separate reason.
I booted up Overwatch the other day, and I have been playing during the weekly recaps to get the skins. And every time I do, I feel a little bit bad. Not bad, but just a little bit like, I guess I'm supporting these assholes. Like, I've spent money on loot boxes too, and it's just, I tend to stay as apolitical as I can, just because I don't, that I understand there's injustice in the world, but what do you want me to do about it? What can I do? I can be as active as I want, but that's neither here nor there. And while I do recognize the Hong Kong human rights situation is a terrible thing, and that Blizzard's a big asshole for what they're doing, and by supporting it, I still love Overwatch. Like, I'm a big fan. I think I always will be. And despite the parent company, I guess I don't want to take it out on the game.
Interesting, fair enough, and I at least appreciate you being honest about it, because I have a bunch of people who are raw-rawing with me and still playing the game. Me, I've completely given up on all my playing any of their stuff. Haven't touched any Activision Blizzard games.
Boycott.
Activision, anyways. I already gave up on that shit.
I don't fucking play
Blizzard side of things. No, I really haven't. Overwatch is done. Canceled my pre-order. Canceled all my Overwatch paraphernalia I had pre-ordered. All that stuff that I had pre-ordered for hype on Switch, which I got lucky after all because the review copy showed me that's not even worth reviewing, and then it would have been even worse to buy it. So I got out lucky with that win, but also I would have canceled it anyways, even if it had been a competent port. Because fuck them right now. I just really can't. Not just do I know people that are over there in Hong Kong, so I guess I have more of a personal connection to it, and you could argue that that may or may not sway how much someone cares about something.
Of course, yeah.
But that aside, I also just don't want to support the fact that I made a status that was somewhat baiting the other day on Facebook, where I made a thing where I said, I'm not saying by playing any of their games, and I listed what games they make, that you're anti-free speech and anti-Hong Kong, but you are. I'm not saying it, guys, but you are. And I made a very facetious, as you can imagine, polarized, received thing where I was basically like, I think, and this is going to be very awkward because I'm not saying that you are, but I was saying that supporting the game kind of does. So I guess in that blanket sense, I am saying it. But
you can't say that, man.
I know, right? But it is a weird thing, right?
No, I'm essentially...
I get where people are coming from, though. Even people more so than you, because at least by what you said, I can tell you at least understand the situation.
Yeah.
I get where people want to separate the politics, right? I get where people were like calling me alarmist by calling Borderlands 3 a Blood Diamond game. I get where people were like, well, I just want to play my Borderlands. I don't care what Gearbox is doing. But it's hard for me to step aside and say that by supporting Borderlands 3 that you cannot really separate the politics and what the company does by giving them money.
So yeah, this is... I guess I am a scab, you know, while everyone's out there marching. I'm marching too, but I'm still going to work.
You're right. Fair enough.
Where I guess I can deviate here between Borderlands and Overwatch is that what Borderlands is doing... Well, I guess... Okay, let me put it this way. What Borderlands is doing is setting up a direct impact in the gaming world, and that it's going to become the standard for the publishers to demand the devs work, you know, their fingers to blood.
Right, yep.
What Blizzard is doing, and by default the NBA,
yes,
and
correct.
Apple,
doing the same thing,
Apple too, right? Did Apple kind of...
That's a weird one.
Take a step back.
But I wouldn't say it's entirely unrelated.
Yeah. What these major American corporations are doing by kowtowing to the Chinese government isn't necessarily setting a standard, because this kind of behavior has always existed, but it doesn't make what they're doing right, nor does it make it fair to continue supporting their brands. Like,
it's a weird one, right?
So especially
because you almost have to step on your own toes.
Yeah.
It's a weird one.
Well, because it's bigger. Like, with Borderlands, it's just one game. It's one company. Gearbox has, Borderlands, Battleborn...
Aliens, Colonial Marines.
Fucking Coma is theirs, too.
Duke Nukem Forever.
Holy shit, are you fucking...
Battleborn. Oh, we already said
we
that.
said Battleborn. Wow, so they have one good game under their belt, and Borderlands 1.
Yeah. Okay,
so that's a singular entity.
This is why I like doing this with you, man.
That's fucking great.
I love educating you and how terrible everything is.
Jesus.
I know.
They're responsible for Coma? That's awful. Where that sets a precedent, I guess it's easier to take down Gearbox or have, make an impact to where they stop their bullshit.
Basically,
you're not going to stop China.
I get what you're saying. Real quick, if I may interject.
Oh, yeah.
All I was going to say is, if I understood that correctly, what you're saying is, if everyone really had boycotted Borderlands 3, that really would have hurt Gearbox.
Yeah.
Which, by people going, well, I'm not pleased with the Gearbox did, but I'm going to buy Borderlands 3 anyways, they did support them. Clear line to the devil, basically, that they did that.
It's like Winnie the Pooh is banned because, yeah, I don't know.
For those who don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I guess we can educate because this is
Go for it.
Because Xi Jinping has been. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, I think so. Something close.
I'm sorry if I butcher that. I apologize.
It's all good.
He gets compared to Winnie the Pooh, and that irks him. That irritates him.
So censorship.
So yeah, he completely blocks it out. What is it? Google's not even allowed over there, right? Because they pissed off the government?
No, they weren't already to begin with because they already have... Okay, so for those of you guys who don't know how the internet works in China, you remember if you ever went to a school, which most of you did, where internet was very regulated in terms of what sites you could... Imagine, like, just the internet in general. Imagine every internet being like that. That's how the internet is in China.
China's not... Like, it's hyper-restricted. Mm-hmm. I heard they even have their own version of Facebook that like he made a deal with Zuck to. This is just something I picked up in like small nerd circles.
Yeah.
That he made a deal with Zuck to have like a specific type or a specific
independent
like
Facebook.
Yeah, like that. So it's highly restricted. Blizzard wouldn't have well, I guess they would have suffered. Well, I forget the point I was trying to make. And
that's a weird one. That's why I know that this is going to become more and more of a mess as we go on, because you're going to start, the more you say this out loud, it's going to come off as, and this isn't an attack towards you per se, but it's going to come up as slightly hypocritical /
I feel like I'm justifying here,
stepping on your toes a little bit.
And I'm not trying to justify it. Like, I play Overwatch because I love Overwatch.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily
it's
have
so
any love
hard
for Blizzard.
I know, but the fact that it's impossible to separate brand from game.
It's like if you were dating this girl and you found out her dad was like a Nazi.
Yeah.
You know.
But you were really in love with her.
Yeah. But you read this girl was fucking fire and like... But you know, her dad's a Nazi, and you marry this girl, so that's just gonna be a part of your life forever.
Yep.
It's harder. It's gonna be harder to take down the Chinese. Not that we're advocating taking down any government, but to make clear that their human rights violations aren't tolerable.
Correct. And then, of course, the biggest mess with that, for those who are still scratching their head at this point and who haven't just clicked off of this, is the fact that it's an American company supporting the Chinese government, and then B, supporting censorship.
Yeah, that's a big that's
where
huge
the issue is.
Yeah, because what
they only have and don't forget that in regards to Blizzard, Activision Blizzard, particularly, Tencent only has a 5% claim.
You know, it's funny because this is might as well just call this the Outer Cast, just because going back to Outer Worlds. The entire premise is based around these corporations who got together and bought a whole fucking system.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're looking at here. Is that the only reason the fucking NBA and Activision Blizzard, one of the biggest gaming companies, and goddamn Apple are bending over to China is because China has that much kind of capitalistic clout.
Yeah. In Activision Blizzard's sense, it's the whole thing with the Warcraft movie, right? The Warcraft movie technically
torpedoed here, but overseas...
But China alone, the sales already saved the entire movie budget, and then they even made a little bit of profit.
Yeah. So that's another thing for those of you who don't know. The Chinese market is massive. Is it just the population? I always wondered, is it just the population? Just more people to appeal to?
Well, because you got to think about the way that the culture is over there, is the fact that it's why they put these inserts. Whenever you'll see a Chinese company preface a thing, like most legendary films, stuff like that, there's always the Chinese insert. For example, in recent memory, the one that I can think of for sure and it was obviously that, like, because now everyone in China will go see this movie because this one Chinese person's in it, like, actually that's why, it's because they're that brainwashed to be like, this is supporting China, therefore you should support this movie, therefore so on and so forth. Is Kong Skull Island. You had the one Chinese chick in there.
Wait,
that was obviously put in there.
Not Bai Ling. That's the Chinese girl from the 90s.
It's
who was she?
No one.
No, I've seen her in other things.
She has in all the stuff that's owned by Legendary, that is owned by a Chinese company. That is
but she's a huge name. Like she got an Oscar. I was looking into it. Because I was looking
was that her? I don't. When I looked at her filmography, it didn't look like she was anything important more than being in a 5-minute character in every movie.
The fuck's her name? Hold on, let me look up the Skull Island.
But anyways, while he looks that up, my whole thing is the fact that all it has to take is, like, China just gets hyped to do that. It's the whole, what city am I playing in tonight in concert? I'm gonna yell that name and everyone's gonna be like, woo!
Thank you.
But no one gives a fuck.
Okay, I'm thinking of someone else. I don't know who Jing Tian
Exactly.
is.
She's no one. And what she is just the Chinese insert in there. And then because of that, everyone had to go see Kong Skull Island because she was in it.
And that's how the Monsterverse got made.
Right. So I feel like this is just going to perpetually go on forever.
We're stuck in a loop here.
Wrapping that up, essentially, it's a tough one. John falls on one side of the party and I fall on the extreme other.
Yeah.
I can't change anyone's mind, but what I can at least hope is that people understand that therefore, at least you're not parading around being like, I'm upset about all this stuff. Not saying that you're not, but you're also not going on the guise that you're super upset about it.
I'm not like
you're like
my flag.
Exactly. Yeah. For those of you who are playing Overwatch or any of the other Blizzard games, you don't get to be on the activist side either. You can't. You don't get to say you care that much because you don't.
We're supporting the regime.
Exactly. You guys are. And that's the whole point I was just trying to make with that. So let's get into, thank you, the two of you that are left. Let's get into the final one. This is actually the funny one. Fallout 76 is the gift that keeps on giving. So on the last...
Let me just say...
Go for it.
That motherfucker should make this free to play and just wash his hands of the whole goddamn thing. Put the microtransaction in if you want to make some money on the back
But just go free to play.
But just make it... Just
for how cheap everyone's selling it now, I mean, basically. Now, here's the thing I was going to say. So we talked about it last on the podcast is how the one thing that they said they were going to add is the thing that should have been there to begin with, right? Most people play Fallout games because they're not mechanically great.
Yeah. They
play them for... That's why New Vegas is the most popular one, pretty much, is the story and the NPCs. Which even the more mediocre ones, like 3 and 4... I can still say I had fun with them because of the story and the NPCs. Even the lukewarm story and the NPCs were still fun to run around and interact in the world.
Nick's whole holotape shit is my favorite thing.
Now, of course, they played dumb and they were just like, oh, that's why people play Fallout? So then they announced they were going to add that stuff in this new update that was coming up. The update would later on be revealed to be called Wastelanders.
I just want to say, I love how Fallout 76 is the only Fallout game that you enter into a literal wasteland where there's nothing around.
Yeah. So what they were going for, and I think that some places do take away from the credit of the fact that the dream was admirable.
Yeah.
Which is, the whole idea was so many people were going to play it that you guys were the world.
Sorry,
you guys were the NPCs.
God, I want to interject again. Because
go ahead.
I'm sorry. But how do you fuck this up? ESO, while it wasn't like the best when it launched, it was still good. It was still playable.
Wait, what was? Oh, ESO. Yeah.
And it got better. It's great. How do you
take that experience and then... Yeah, no, it's weird. It's weird the fact that they already got a mulligan when they redid ESO from sucking and fixed it. For the most part, objectively fixed it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, it's not even like they redid... Basically, they have the experience from Elder Scrolls, and they used a pre-built engine that they already had from Fallout 4.
Just reskin.
Right. And then so, now their whole thing is, well, let's essentially make it like a games as a service Fallout game by now adding NPCs, because they did encourage the fact that you could play shit by yourself, but how when there's nothing to do. But anyways, that aside, fucking now they're going to they're basically making it where they're almost gearing Fallout 76 where if the NPCs are somewhat competent and the actors are decent, they were changing it where now it is like ESO. They were basically shifting it now more towards ESO, where it's like a single player one that you can play with friends.
Yeah.
So I would say that it could be, if you like Fallout 4, you may like this new Fallout 76 if the NPCs are somewhat competent and there was a decent storyline. They've now announced that it's been pushed sometime into 2020. They were supposed to drop it by the end of the year to try to save the game. That was basically unsavable. Anthem has indefinitely delayed the roadmap, aka canceled that bullshit probably.
Yeah, Anthem's dead.
So Anthem's hella dead. Oh, and they also added EA access, so it's hella dead. Now, with that being a thing, with Fallout 76 is like that could have been their thing. Then they delayed that, right? Then what do they do on top of it? They now have Fallout First.
What the fuck is that?
I'm glad you really don't know. You really don't know, John. As you take the stand, with your Bible and all. Do you actually know what Fallout First is?
God, I kind of feel like I don't want to.
Well,
I feel like it's a goddamn mobile game. Is it a mobile game?
Fallout First
Oh no.
is the annual Fallout 76 subscription that costs $100 a year. So
I fucking love
So you have everything. So you have everything that is Fallout 76. Now we don't need to reiterate again,
Do you
right?
get the mailman suit?
Then you have the fact that they are delaying this big important update to do this, right?
Holy shit.
Well, here's what they give you. They keep going. It goes further. We're not done yet. Oh, it's also $13 a month. Think about that lack of value either way. $13 a month or $100 a year. What? You're talking $40. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, $40 more than a year of PlayStation Plus or Xbox.
Yeah, it's 100. Well, with tax, probably like 144.
Right. So you got that going on, and then 13, your monthly anything. It makes Nintendo's Switch online service look like a deal.
Yeah.
And it's cheap, but doesn't have anything really. So that being said, what the fuck, right? So you have the weird fucked up thing. Well, here's what they do. They dig the knife deeper. They love it. They're just like, dude, this is hilarious. It's like they're fucking around at this point. It almost makes you wonder if this is all an elaborate prank or if it's a Kanye West thing where, like, I always had that theory that Kanye West is obviously all this. His thing is he wants to show his power. He wants to show his power over the sheeple, which is why he released a Walmart quality blank white t-shirt, but because it's Yeezy, everyone was buying it for insane amounts of money, right?
I believe
he's basically flexing his god tier influence is what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I almost want to say,
Kanye.
is Bethesda doing this? Because it's like, how, or are they just really fucking up this hard? Because the fall from grace has been exponential.
I honestly feel like Todd saw what Shenmue did with Kickstarter and was like, hold my kid-sized beer.
Yeah, my big man hand size.
Yeah, right.
So okay,
5'10".
but so here's where the rabbit hole keeps getting deeper, and it makes me wonder if this is intentional or not.
Uh-huh.
So everyone wants a Fallout New Vegas sequel. They keep teasing it, even though what would New Vegas 2 without Obsidian be anyways? Because everyone only liked it because Obsidian's writing, right? Yeah. And I don't think Bethesda's going to outsource that shit to Obsidian again just to be showed up by an external studio how bad they are, right?
Yeah.
Especially now. One of the perks for getting Fallout First is the classic Fallout New Vegas Ranger armor.
Jesus.
So there you go. There's your New Vegas.
There you go.
That's it. That's your New Vegas. And it's a really bad looking rendered model of the New Vegas Ranger armor. The classic, the iconic Vegas. Everyone's seen that cover art.
Yeah.
Of the dude with the trench coat and the mask and all that shit.
The World War
Everyone knows that, man. Even if you never fucking played New Vegas, you've seen that artwork.
You've picked it up.
You've picked it up and looked at it at the very least, right? So do you get that? That's your Fallout. Hey, Fallout New Vegas stands fuck off now. You got that.
I legit thought you were going to say, like, just New Vegas, but slightly re-rendered.
Right.
No, not even that. Here, not $100 for a game most of us have already played. Not me, but just in general.
Right.
No, just here's a fucking skin. Here's $100.
But that's not all. That's still the good stuff, by the way. This is the good stuff that you're getting out of it. And here's the things that they promise. Why would you want to pay $100? Right? Private servers for you and your friends. So you don't got to worry about, getting trolled while you're offline, blah, blah. And check this out, man. Since you're paying this shit, and you're paying for our servers, essentially, you're paying for a lot more than that. You're paying for their fucking Red Lobster. You also get an unlimited, a crate of unlimited storage. Because at this point, you're dealing with, like, having to craft different crates. You remember Fallout 4.
Yeah, I know. But
so you're dealing with all this shit, right?
Aren't they just going to ban you from the server when you get too much ammo?
Well, they won't, because here's why. So that's it. Those are the perks, right? Private servers.
Oh, that's it?
Private. Well, maybe more to come. I don't know. Anyways, but private servers. The bottomless box and your New Vegas nonsense armor, right?
Yeah.
There may have been a couple of things like this, but that's like the main driving perks is those three, right? So it came out, right? And you can do that. And people, for some reason, people are this dumb. They went out and got it. Like people have been getting this, right?
Why? Fuck.
Not just is that a raw deal, I feel, off the bat.
Yeah.
The bottomless box deleted everyone's stuff that put stuff in there.
I love this.
And the private worlds were already missing loot because other people had been using them and they just got recycled. The recycled zones. And People are just appearing in other people's private servers. So these private servers are just having all these random plebs appear in it anyways. For $100 a month.
You can't make this up.
I know. That's why I wonder. It almost,
great.
you feel like it has to be intentional.
This is not The Onion.
So here's the thing, right?
Holy shit.
So for anyone who doesn't know anything about server stuff or games in general, there's no real way that Bethesda is going to be able to keep track of what you lost in that thing, especially if you put away hundreds of scrap, hundreds of ammo, whatever. So guess what's going to happen is Bethesda's probably just going to tell these people who got their shit eaten,
fuck off.
glitch.
Yeah.
Glitch. We can't help that. It's fixed now. So now it's safe to put it in there.
Is it though?
But
I doubt.
But you know how many people are putting in service tickets? You know what their service ticket probably looks like for like lost 300 of this, lost 200 of this, you must restore. They're just going to ignore all those emails.
Duh.
For everyone who's submitting the support tickets, you're not getting that shit back.
Right.
Because it's non-tangible shit that you cannot prove. Because then you're also going to get the plethora of liars who are going to be like, I put 1,000,000 of this, or I put 1,000 of that, There's no way Bethesda can fairly restore that shit without compromising the integrity of the game.
Yeah.
So they can't.
Yeah. Suppose there's people still playing. Like, why?
Yeah, I was A, surprised that there's even anyone, and then B, that anyone like loves it that much that they would sub to this.
Jeez, man. Does it? Oh, fuck.
I know,
Does it come with a nylon bag?
dude.
I don't.
Well, they finally gave people that, by the way. Did we talk about that? I think we
Did
talked
they
about it in
really?
the last call. Anyways, so they finally got to that where like
canvas bag.
so much. I'm sure there's a class action lawsuit that was coming down the
No,
pipeline.
there is.
Why they did.
There
right.
is, yeah.
So because of that, they finally did, right? They gave everyone that. And then what happened after that is the limited edition helmet that you could buy was getting reported deadly amounts of mold in it.
It's like, did
Dude.
you ever hear about the rum they marketed with it?
Oh God, no.
The Nuka Dark.
No.
So it's a Nuka Dark cola.
Oh,
bottle.
actually, I heard about it, but I don't recall the details. So go.
Basically, they have like Etsy shops have fucking Nuka Cola bottles
They
that
do.
are top quality product, right?
Uh-huh.
Bethesda, in their infinite wisdom, puts out this Nuka Cola bottle of rum, Nuka Dark, that's just a bottle of rum with a plastic shell over it, but the shell slightly covers over the lip of the bottle, so when you pour the goddamn thing out, you basically have to turn the bottle upside down, or all your fucking liquor is going to get inside the plastic casing. And it breaks. If you try to break the bottle out, it fucking breaks.
All this has to be an elaborate ruse.
It's almost like that Kanye West thing you're saying, but...
Yeah, I feel like Bethesda's just like, everyone trusts us. How quickly? Like, Todd must already have a rocket ship ready to go to another planet that he bought.
Oh, bought wholesale from Elon himself. But look at it this way. Todd's the guy that released Skyrim 7 times now.
But I can almost like...
And it's never
I can almost say at least... That was at least a critically acclaimed thing.
Yeah, at least Skyrim's good, but I mean, don't get me wrong. If they release it on Gen 5, I'm not going to fucking buy it.
Right.
It took me, 5 years after the launch here to buy it?
But yeah, you're right, because I had it on Xbox 360.
I have it on my 3.
Then I bought it on PC because I wanted to do modding.
It's on my 4.
And then I bought it on Switch because I wanted to take it to go. So I did at least have 3 justified reasons. 1, it first came out. 2, to mod it. And then 3, so I can take it on the go.
So between the two of us, Todd has made, $325
At least, just
before
between
tax?
the two of us.
Yeah. So just think about how many individual people... Because I bought it twice, you bought it 3 times. So that means the average person has at least bought it twice.
At least.
Jesus, man. Like, at this point, it's no wonder if he is trolling that he thinks he can get away with it. Because he fucking can.
And here's the biggest shame, is that's games they actually make, right? The games they actually publish are pretty decent. Wolfenstein, Doom, shit like that. So they're a good publisher.
They are.
They just need to fuck off making games at this point. I love Elder Scrolls, and I love Fallout. But if this is all I'm going to get from now on, cancel Elder Scrolls 6.
Man. I don't care about Black Marsh.
Yep.
I'm cool with the lore. One thing I've never touched on, and I don't think I've ever actually brought this up with you.
Go ahead.
But this is tying back into all of this now.
Good, perfect. Well, we're wrapping, so do it.
When Destiny was first announced, and I first heard what Bungie was trying to do, I was loath at this to try it out. And Destiny 1, as you'll remember, was pretty tepid. You know, a lot of grinding, a lot of repetitive bullshit, same raid bosses, same everything, right?
I showed John a stupid ass headline.
Of course, it's
that
important.
dropped that
It's
says
important.
Donald Trump wants the iPhone home button back. All right. Anyway, so
God,
go on,
he is
sir.
a geriatric. But when I heard of their ambitious, 10-year plan, release annuals and whatnot, when I thought, well, that's probably not going to happen. It's not feasible. Kudos to you, Bungie, for proving me wrong. I am very. I've heard good things about Shadowkeep, I think it's called, and I like the
now that it's
progression
actually
they're going.
Bungie product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
heard
fuck Activision,
fantastic.
but Bungie.
They've been making the right compromises to make up for Activision Blizzard's incompetence, as well as trying to win, because they understand that the franchise's name in general is a little tarnished.
Yeah.
So they've been doing a good thing without totally fucking themselves, but giving enough either free shit or like, because like the base game's free to play and stuff like that. The year one content is like included to try to, because they realize that they've lost people's trust, even if it's not entirely their fault.
Yeah. But Bungie is a solid company. Going back to Halo, I think if Bungie stays solo, or even if they just get a little bit of outside help, as long as there's not creative control in that, Destiny will be fine, and this 10-year map they have will succeed.
Mm-hmm. It could actually be it seems like it could really be a thing.
And therein lies the problem. Because if this 10-year map succeeds, it's going to be the No Man's Sky scenario again.
Yeah,
where
right.
it's
Setting
like,
a precedence.
Yeah, and that's what that's that this gut feeling I have for Outer Worlds. That's the gut feeling I got then. That something bad was going to come of it. And this is what we're dealing with now, is that these these publishers think that, okay, I can just give them this game, Assassin's Creed, Unity, was it Unity?
Yeah, Unity.
Yeah. And we'll just put out the DLC, and we'll just give them a patch update as we go along, and release more DLC packs. And I get it, man. DLC is great if you had a publishing deadline, you couldn't fit everything you want at the same time. And sure, if it's good content, like if it's basically
to the point where it's essentially so much content, it's an expansion,
like The Witcher.
Yeah.
Fine, I'll shell out 15, 20, maybe even $30 for a season pass or what have you. Like Mortal Kombat, we were talking about this the other day. I'm
the worst person to justify shit for fighting games. I have a big beef with that, but go on.
Oh no, I'm not saying anything against. I'm just saying, yeah, it's $30, and it's only characters and skins, and like they don't really improve the game that much. But I'm more than happy to do it because it's not that big an impact on me. And it's something that I don't feel really overall impacts the game. Like, I don't need fucking Arnold in MK11 to be better, right? What this Fallout First bullshit is, this is going to be the new standard that every publisher is going to see this. They're going to see it fucking succeed. Why? Why are you buying this? Why are you still playing
and then that wraps back to what I'm saying about this is why it's imperative that if you're anti something, you don't do what these people are doing.
Yeah.
Which is buying it.
Yeah. So, as much as I want to say I'm not going to buy a Bethesda game, don't support that. I'm definitely not going to buy a Fallout game for a while. I'm not going to buy 76 ever.
By the way,
so
what someone did is in all of Bethesda's wisdom, they didn't get the URL for Fallout First, so a fan bought it, and it's just an anti-Bethesda parody
Kudos
website.
to you, sir. May you have all the luck in life.
Yep. So
or madam. Or
that's what that goes
you identify as.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just that. I mean, that's it, man. This is setting the precedent again. If we want to wrap it up in a nice little bow, it's like if we don't do something about China's human rights violations, then they're just gonna. Everyone else who wants to is just gonna big dick, and step over the little people because they can. They can get away with it.
Because Fortnite's important.
Because Fortnite is a thing. And
although Epic Games swears, despite Tencent having a 40% claim in their company, that they don't care if anyone talks about Hong Kong at their tournaments. So we'll see.
We'll see how that goes. Yeah. Go May. I'm glad that people have appropriated May to use.
Yeah, the real awkward thing that happened with that was when May's actual voice actress, who is pro-China, made that tweet shortly after people were doing that, and it was just really awkward.
Ooh, that's gotta be, yeah.
And people were just like, oh, right.
Now, is she legitimately pro-China, or is she like how Jackie Chan is pro-China?
No, she's like
hardcore?
in the midst of all this was basically dropped that very nice but slightly backhanded tweet that was just like, "Yay, guys, let's celebrate China and all the epic things they're doing right now because of, China's cool because of this."
Just since we have gotten political, don't forget the Uyghurs, or Uyghurs, however you pronounce that.
The Jaegers. We got to get them founded because when the big kaiju come, only Idris Elba can save us.
Oh, the next Bond? Who should have been the next Bond? But
yeah. All right, y'all. We're getting off topic. Yeah. We will catch you guys next month, me and John, and then I will catch you guys next week on the next upcoming Monday. Or Disconnected cast like normal, and we will see you guys then. Until then, for the dog barks us into oblivion, see ya. Great to be back, guys. Take it easy.
Learn to kill, I don't learn to die. Taking back the walls, taking back our life. Strike on every tank until they out of sight. I will learn to stand.